Dricus Du Plessis defeats Israel Adesanya at UFC 305 in Perth last night, and you love to see it. There was a bunch of people in my comments that were talking about keeping the same energy and that they would be in the comment section and to make sure that I had the same energy. I still have the same energy. I would have had the same energy if Israel Adesanya had got the win, because I was just pointing out truths. That's all I did last week, covering the Israel Adesanya complete meltdown. That's all it was. A 13-month deep dive into mental health fueled by race. That's what I was trying to talk about. And you know what will happen in the aftermath of that, because Dricus did what we do as people, and we took the higher ground and offered that olive branch to Israel Adesanya and said, you know what, I respect you. Almost over respecting. You know, there was a lot of glazing going on there at the end of that fight, but I think Dricus did exactly what he should have done. Taking the higher ground is important with these people. I'm going to ask a question. You can answer it down below and answer as honestly as you can. Do you think for 1 second that if Israel Adesanya had got the win last night, that if he had knocked Dricus Du Plessis out, that there would have been any form of respect, that there would have been any hugs, that there would have been any weird like kissing of lips and touching other lips? Would there have been a gifted teamed Nigerian jacket handed over to Dricus Du Plessis backstage with all the family members around? Would that have happened? I don't think so. And just like the people that were asking me to keep the same energy in my video on Sunday after the great African, the true African Israel Adesanya gets the win, the same question must be posed to Israel Adesanya. 13 months ago, you got unbelievably triggered and started banging the drum of three kings. You started calling people crackers. You started calling people colonizers. You turned the entire build-up of this fight into some sort of race-baiting fiasco. And the media were complicit in this. And when the rubber met the road and we got to fight week, they wanted to brush that under the carpet because it was too spicy to talk about. So the first question I'd like you to answer in the comments is, would Israel Adesanya have been as respectful in victory as Dricus Du Plessis? And the second question is, where is the same energy? You got choked out, you tapped out like a bitch, and all of a sudden the three kings, the colonizers, the race question all goes out the window, and we're hugging and we're kissing, and I didn't really manifest this one. Ha 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 ha. Is that not a valid question to ask? Where is the same energy? People were talking about the biggest rivalries in UFC history. People put this in the same level as Conor versus Khabib. Get real. Get real. This was a one-sided thing from the jump, and you all knew it, and you were gaslighting people. But you couldn't come out and say what I've said over and over again in videos, that Dricus is literally just a champion. He was telling people where he lived. He was telling people where he was going to bring the belt back to, and the black lads got extremely triggered. Extremely triggered. And I have a very interesting video coming tomorrow. Stay tuned for that one. Because in terms of people calling out the three kings, Dricus wasn't the first guy to do that. And when I tell this story tomorrow, you'll be like, bro, that's hypocritical as hell. So we'll get to that one tomorrow. But the media were terrified. They were terrified to say that Israel was losing the plot. He was over emotional. But the media were terrified to tell the truth about the fruity Israel Adesanya. And we know this. We've covered it numerous times. There's no point going over it again. This is what the owners of the UFC and the owners of ESPN like to promote. They want to see nail varnish. They want to see lipstick. They want to see fiddling around with dogs and things like that. Anything that will burrow into the minds of young people, they're all up for that. So that's why the media haven't come out and slammed Israel Adesanya for what he has been saying over the last 13 months. He said that Dricus made this all about race. It was actually the inversion of that. It was him that did it. And every single media commentator, ex-fighter that you watch was complicit in that. Remember that. And remember the question that I asked. If Israel had won last night, do you think that there would have been any sort of respect? No, there wouldn't. And what would the media have said about it? What would the ex-fighters have said about it? You would have had ex-fighters, MMA media members, all the shills coming out saying, listen, the tension was really high on this. Dricus really triggered him. And you don't trigger a dangerous man like Israel Adesanya. That's what they would have said. Unfortunately, he ended up on the ground being choked out. And after that, then he kind of whimpered back into his shell and disappeared. And Dricus did the right thing in terms of the media and actually gave him a chance and gave him a break and said, okay, you were on about ending my dreams a day ago. You were on about ending my life. You were on about showing me who I am, whatever that means. And none of it came to fruition. But he left him off. And I think that in the aftermath of this fight, Israel Adesanya is just a broken guy. I would love to see media come out and say it. I would love to see ex-fighters actually bring the truth to the table and be like, listen, we were worried about this guy from like 13 months ago. I think he's triggered by like extremism online about white versus black. We know that our governments push the anti-white rhetoric in the schools and in the workplace and everything like that. And Israel obviously is a victim of that. So maybe he should go and get some like exposure therapy or something. I don't know. In terms of the fight, I thought Israel was doing extremely well. I thought Dricus, the unorthodox style, I know that he has a gas tank, but he did look tired. He was catching Israel. And I think that the commentary team kind of lacked the ability to go, that was a wobble or that was a little bit shaky, because every time that he kind of lunged forward and clipped them, Israel did a little bit of a wobble. His legs looked a little bit dodgy. And even coming towards the conclusion of this fight, Dricus kind of lunged in. There were kind of glancing shots that were wobbling him. Then he caught him with a couple, took him down and took the back. I loved it. It was jiu-jitsu to the most beautiful extent that I could imagine, especially it being on Israel Adesanya. As I said, quick reaction, jump into the comments and try do what Israel couldn't do. Keep the same energy. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit like, subscribe and share. Cheers.